Welcome to Growing Your Team, a podcast designed for small business owners seeking to grow their company with the help of employees and contractors. Your time is limited, which means growing and leveraging teams is essential for business success. The Growing Your Team podcast is the place to learn tips and techniques designed to help you know when it's the right time to hire, how to select perfect fit team members, and how to maximize productivity while creating a positive work environment. Drawing from her 10-plus years of leadership and hiring experience, here is your host, Jamie Van Kuyk.
Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today, we are talking about something that I see a lot when employees quit. Yes, it sucks when your team members quit. And why does it suck? Because you are left with a hole in your business. You are left with, most likely if you're a small business, you having to step in and pick up the slack. And chances are your plate is full and you really don't have the time to do it. So it's never a great thing. Well, almost never a great thing when an employee quits. But guess what? It happens. It happens for good reasons. It happens for not so good reasons. But what I want to talk about today is that you need to stop resenting your employees because they quit, or even your contractors. Just because someone decides that working for you is no longer a good fit does not mean that they are a bad worker and does not necessarily mean anything negative about you or your company. So before we get into a little bit more about why you shouldn't resent your team members who quit, let me tell you about something that happened to me. Back at my very first full-time job, I worked for this small business where it was just me, another worker, and the two owners of the company that were husband and wife. And occasionally we had some contractors and part-time workers that would help with some projects. But the four of us were pretty much the entire employee setup of the company at the time when I worked there. And one day, I overheard a conversation because our office was set up where you pretty much heard everything. And the conversation went something like this. The one owner talking to the other about how a past employee reached out for a reference. And the other owner of the company said, "Heck no. We can't give her a reference. She quit. She left us." And the first owner goes, "But she left us to move across country because I think it was her fiance got a job out there. And they had told her at that moment in time that remote work in a different state was not possible. So she's like, we told her she couldn't keep working for us. She moved because her significant other got a really good job out there. So we really didn't give her a choice. It was break up with her significant other or quit." And so she decided to go elsewhere. But the second business owner was adamant about the fact that there is no way they could provide her a reference ever because she quit. And as an employee who was sitting there and listening to this conversation, all I could think of in my head was, I will never be able to get a reference from this company. This is not a long-term fit for me. And it doesn't matter why I leave. It doesn't matter how hard I work, how much they value me while I'm here. Everything I do here is pretty much for nothing. I am wasting my time continuing to be here because besides being listed on my resume, it is not going to amount to anything else positive. I will never get a reference. I will never get she used to work for us and she was a great employee. That networking that helps you build your career. It was not going to happen from this company. So that is what happened to me. And that is what I overheard. And that was the impression that it had on me. And I have worked now inside growing your team with multiple small business owners who come to me upset and resenting their past employee because they left them. And when we dig through, okay, what happened? Why did this person leave? I have some clients where it is very clear that the reason why they left is a management issue, but we're not getting into that today. Other times, the reason why they left is 100% because it is not the right fit for the employee. Meaning, their long-term goals in this position or where this position could go don't align. Which also means when we try to dig into what went wrong, what can we avoid in the next team member, there's nothing other than, well, let's try to find someone who wants us for the long haul. And that's the thing. When your employees quit, it's because it's not the right fit. It is not because they're doing something malicious to your company. It is not because they want to leave you high and dry. They want to make it so you lose customers because you're scrambling. It is because they are deciding that they need to do what is best for them and the long-term move for their career and their future and their happiness. And yes, that often means they no longer work for you. But let me ask you this. Would you rather have an employee who is miserable every day, but shows up, does a good job, or as good as they can do because they're really miserable, and just resents coming to work, views work as a chore? Or would you rather have the opportunity to let that person go to a company where they can thrive and give you the opportunity to hire a team member that is truly the right fit? Hiring a team member that their career goals or their current career goals match the position that you're offering. Really, when you think about it, the latter sounds better. Someone giving you the opportunity to get the right team member in instead of just being stuck with a warm body in the position. So stop resenting your team members when they quit. If you think about it, in the long haul, they're doing you a favor. They are saying, this is not right for me. I cannot produce the best work in this position. I am not happy. And it's best for you and for me for us to part ways so I can find what's right for me and you can find what's right for you. So when a team member quits on you, find out why. Why are they leaving? If it's something that can change, see if you could offer that change and them stay, especially if it's a team member that you liked. But if it's not something that can change, let them go. Yes, I know that finding someone to replace them and onboarding and training that new team member takes time. It takes effort. It costs your business money to do everything. However, it is better to have a happy, productive team member for the long haul than to keep someone in a position when it is not the right fit for them. And I know I talked about this example multiple times on the podcast in different episodes, but in case you haven't heard it, I'm going to share it again. I remember back early in my management career, I had a team member who did well at her job. She really didn't have any errors, but there was always this level of conflict between her and the sales team that she worked with. And we worked through it. There were some things that would have caused anybody stress, and we eliminated those things. We helped the sales team realize that their behavior needed to change. Then there were other things as this employee kept working that she still wasn't thriving in, that I could still tell she wasn't happy. And during a conversation when I asked, okay, what else can we change to make you happy? She listed things and I said, listen, that's the job. If you don't want to do those things, then this isn't the right job for you, and maybe you should find something else. And as a newer manager, I sat there and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just told my employee that she needs to go find something else. Like, I'm going to get in so much trouble for pretty much telling my employee that she needs to quit and go find another position. Luckily, I didn't get in trouble, but the employee did come back to me a little while later and say, that was the most honest conversation a manager has ever had with me. And it really got me thinking. And you're right. This is not the right job for me at this point in my life. I need to figure something else out. And so she gave her notice. She was kind enough that she gave us a pretty long notice so we could find someone to fill her position and she could help train. But she left us and took time to figure out what she really wanted to do in her career, what type of company she wanted to work for, and all that jazz. And it was a few years later, I ran into this past employee when I was out for a walk, and she once again said, thank you. Because of that conversation, I figured out what I wanted to do for my career. I now have a job that I am enjoying. And it is because you were willing to be open and honest with me. You were willing to help me realize that this wasn't the right job instead of just holding on to an employee on your team. So yes, it sucks when employees leave you. You have to go back through the hiring process, and you have to onboard and you have to train. But in the long run, you want the employee who wants the job. You want the employee who's going to be happy doing the job. So stop resenting your team members when they quit and start looking at it as a blessing in disguise. It gives you the opportunity to find the right team member for your business. Now, of course, we want to make sure you're not getting into a hiring and firing cycle where the reason that they're quitting is things like you're not managing your team properly, you're not being clear of your expectations, and so forth. But if you're clear on the position, you're clear with your expectations, and they're realizing it's not the right fit, let them go. Both you and your employee will be happier in the long run. And that wraps up this episode of the Growing Your Team podcast. Are you ready to be happy with your team's performance and not have managing your team take all of your time? If so, then you need to download the Ultimate Expectations Checklist. You understand the benefits of having a team, but you're not sure how to get them to do what you want and how you want it. With this checklist, you can be successful in setting and managing expectations, and you can have a high-performing, high-producing team that is going to help you gain time back so you can focus on the parts of your business that you love. So head on over to growingyourteam.com/expectations-checklist and get your free copy of the Ultimate Expectations Checklist. As I always like to say, if you don't set the expectations, your team members will. And the majority of the time, their expectations will not match yours. If you want to have team members that perform well for your business, and you want team members that don't drain all your time, then you need this checklist. By using the Ultimate Expectations Checklist, your company can thrive, your team members will be happy, and you will see the positive value of each team member without having to spend all your time on management tasks. Yes, you can have time again to focus on what you love about your business. So head on over to growingyourteam.com/expectations-checklist and get your free copy of the Ultimate Expectations Checklist today.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Growing Your Team with your host, Jamie Van Kuyk. Be sure to subscribe and head on over to growingyourteam.com to connect, access the show notes, and discover more ways to hire and leverage your perfect fit team.